Hi, friends, and welcome back to, welcome to the second season of Storytime with A.B. Scott. All right. I hope you have your warm beverage. I have mine in a nice Arson Brothers mug. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, your continued support is always much, greatly appreciated. Well, with the promotion comes, let's get to the, meat of the topic. I want to talk today about ownership and go through a few things and understand what I mean by ownership, at least how I've come to understand it. I first want to start with four agreements. Four agreements. The first one is be impeccable with your words. I don't speak about myself, speak badly about myself. I try not to engage in gossip or shit talk or meaningless speculation. The serenity prayer that's quite popular in recovery circles about gaining understanding of we can't basically talk our way out of everything. And yeah, second one is don't take things personally. Now, especially at work and my personal life, not taking things personally has helped a lot. I certainly used to be one of the people who used to curse under his breath, not really speak up when I didn't really get my way, and just generally went with the flow and not tried to, um, cause waves. And generally, I'm okay with pretty much what's going on. Some things I just didn't speak up about myself. Third one is don't make assumptions. Well, this is one I continually have to challenge myself on because assumptions are really part of everyday life. And assumptions may not be a good word, but I guess like it's assumed that I'm going to show up to work when I say I'm going to show up to work, or it's assumed I'm going to be at my mother's in the morning. These that's not really an assumption, but I just try to assume as little as possible. And the fourth is always do your best. And that's going to change from time to time, from hour to hour, to minute, to day to day. But under any circumstances, I'm trying my best. And I really think other people are trying their best as well. Anyway, so those are the four agreements I have adopted that I make with myself, and then make with the world, every day. It's my attempt to be as authentic and as genuine as possible, and to try to give more than I take. And that being said, let's start with a little process work. Well, this isn't exactly story time, but this is once again is another look into my process and shows how I apply these things. And to start this off, I have to mention Fred Rogers. If it's mentionable, it's manageable. And this is my brain. This is my thoughts, my conscious. I really have, it is my responsibility to safeguard that. And that also comes with not taking things personally. That's one of the major things. Because once you start questioning the assumptions, or not questioning the assumptions, but once you start realizing that other people are, just as afraid and unsure as you are, that's really, I guess, the beginning of understanding yourself. Understanding that the mind and that the cognitive process is what the mind does, is what the brain does, like what the heart does. The heart pumps blood, that's its purpose. The brain its purpose is our consciousness. We control what we bring in and what we give out. Um, and this starts with casting your thoughts with not in a negative light, but questioning how you talk to yourself. And this comes really with critical thinking. And it helps to counter the automatic negative thoughts, which is a term I've kind of adopted from Dr. Alman in his book, The Brain Warrior's Way. But it's the negative thoughts that pop up when maybe someone says something in the bated breath or whatsoever. That can spark shame and critical thought and just negative thoughts in general. And and many times in my former life, it's really reacted with sarcasm and cynicism as a way to hide. So when I stopped when I started this process questioning those negative thoughts and not letting them was one of my first steps. Thoughts that you're a loser, you messed up before, you're just messed up, always come through. And to keep those things from becoming overly harsh, you have to question your assumptions. And once again, I do that through journaling. And by questioning your assumptions, you're asking the who, what, where, when, and what happened. So, owning your words and ownership in general. For the longest time, I wrapped my nephew's Christmas present. It started out being, something I enjoyed doing, but every year it got more and more, more and more, and more and more. And I didn't really speak up. And as a lot in my life, that's caused problems. So, owning your words is really the next step in, I guess, in my process and how I approach these things. And that brings me to being impeccable with your words. An accurate and honest assessment, and question everything that you're looking at. Refraining from hyperbole is key. Once again, we're looking for an accurate and honest assessment of what has happened and where do you want to go. And, you approach life in an inquisitive and not angry fashion. It's my general approach to everything. If I ask a question, I'm not trying to provoke an angry response. I'm asking for information. And finally, no shit talk or gossip. Yeah, in my younger days, I was quite the big shit talker. I had a blog and back in the MySpace days where I would just talk endless, you know, English trash about, you know, um, well, certainly about religion, um, and and a lot of things. Yeah, I was generally negative, and I think one of my um, one of my show flyers even had Scott hates everyone, and that is really so far off the point, but it made people laugh, so I went with it. And I really started talking bigger trash and whatsoever because it made people laugh. Wasn't really how I thought, but then the way I spoke kind of shaped the way I thought, and that kind of led me down a negative road. Judgmental road, cynic road, cynicism, sarcasm. Really think you're tapping the same vein when you're getting into those areas. And as time wore on, my trash talk or shit talk really kind of lost its charm. I know it did for me. I kind of had less ground to stand on the further and further I kind of delved into my alcoholism. So what I do is what I do. Try to be reliable. Try to live with integrity. And I really try to be accountable. With reliability, doing what you say you're going to do, basically, when you're going to do it. Integrity is living your values instead of simply professing them. And accountability is, accepting the consequences of your actions. Well, over the course of my addiction and wrestling with substance abuse and whatsoever, I kind of lost my ability to do, all three of those things. I became unreliable. Certainly was not living my values, the ones I was professing. And I generally skirted my, responsibilities. I kind of, defaulted on my student loans. And, I just generally was in a very, very bad place and not working, towards anything. And, my main goal in, this show and in living is to try to be the, person I needed at my worst. And I can really only do that by owning, my past, present, or future. And it comes with a lot of rumbling. And it's going through a lot of messy. It requires a lot of vulnerability. But it's worth the risk. I own my life. Everything I say, I do, I involve myself in. I take responsibility for that. And if I'm having a bad day, I don't get to take that out on the next person, person next to me. And at the very end, this is my, attempt to do my best. And as always, take care of everyone. And please like, share, subscribe. A.B. Scott. This was Storytime. Thank you.